Stranger Things has many crazy theories, from Will Byers being the key to destroying the Upside Down, to Vecna's real plan secretly unfolding since Season 1. Today I'm breaking down the craziest fan theories about the final season that could completely change everything you thought you knew about Hawkins, starting with one that nobody wants to believe is true. Section 1. Will Byers is the true chosen one. Will isn't just a random victim of the Upside Down. He's actually the most important character in the entire series and holds the key to ending the Vecna threat permanently. Will's connection to the Upside Down goes way beyond anyone else in the show. He was the first person to survive extended time there in Season 1, and that wasn't just random luck. Think about it. Barb died almost immediately, but Will somehow managed to hide and survive for days. That's not normal. Then in Season 2, he developed that psychic connection that let him sense the Mind Flayer. Remember how his neck would tingle whenever the shadow monster was close? And even in Season 4, years later, he still had that same sensation when Vecna was active. The Duffer Brothers have repeatedly said Will's story isn't over, and that Season 5 will focus heavily on him. They literally called it Will Byers' season in interviews. Plus, there's the fact that Will was chosen specifically by the Upside Down, not randomly taken like Barb or other victims. Vecna wanted him for a reason. The evidence for this theory is all over the show if you look closely. In Season 4, when the gang is investigating the Creel house, Will touches his neck in the exact same way he did when the Mind Flayer was near in Season 2. That's not just a callback, it's showing us his connection is still active. Then there's his D&D character, Will the Wise. In the game, he's a wizard or sorcerer, and one of the Season 5 episode titles is literally called The Sorcerer. That can't be a coincidence. The show has always used D&D as foreshadowing. Also, the Duffer Brothers confirmed in interviews that Season 5 will circle back to Season 1 and focus on Will's journey. They specifically said his role will be central to the final season. When the creators are basically telling us Will is important, we should probably listen. Even more telling is how the Upside Down is frozen on the exact day Will disappeared, November 6, 1983. The entire alternate dimension is somehow linked to that specific moment when Will was taken. That's not just a random detail. Here's where it gets crazy. The theory suggests that Will might actually be a natural bridge between dimensions, which is why he survives so long in the Upside Down and why the Mind Flayer keeps trying to use him. Some fans think Will has latent psychic abilities that are even stronger than Eleven's, but they manifest differently. Instead of telekinesis, Will might have dimensional manipulation powers. The theory goes that in Season 5, Will learn to control his connection and literally close the gates between worlds permanently. This would explain why his character has felt sidelined lately. The writers have been saving his big moment for the finale. It also explains why he was drawing those strange pictures in Season 4 without fully understanding why. His subconscious was trying to warn everyone about what's coming. But what if Will's connection to Vecna isn't just random? What if there's something even deeper going on? That brings us to our next theory. Section 2. Eleven will sacrifice her powers to save everyone. Eleven's powers aren't the solution to defeating Vecna. They're actually part of the problem, and she'll need to permanently give them up to save Hawkins and her friend. From the very beginning, Eleven has wanted a normal life. Remember in Season 1 when she put on the blonde wig and looked at herself in the mirror? Or how excited she was to go to the snowball in Season 2? She's always been torn between her powers and her desire to just be a regular teenager. The show has been building toward this sacrifice since the beginning. Every season, Eleven uses her powers to save everyone, but at a huge personal cost. She's constantly exhausted, bleeding, and traumatized by what she has to do. It's taking a toll on her. Look at how Season 4 ended. Eleven got her powers back, but they weren't enough to stop Vecna completely. She struggled against him even with Max and the gang helping. And when she finally did push him back, it wasn't a permanent solution. It just delayed the inevitable. There's also the recurring theme of sacrifice throughout the series. Hopper's death at the end of Season 3, even though he survived, Bob's actual death in Season 2, and Billy's redemption in Season 3. The show consistently shows that the biggest victories require the biggest sacrifices. Plus, there's a pattern of Eleven losing her powers after major confrontation. She lost them after closing the gate in Season 2, and again after the Battle of Starcourt in Season 3. It's like the show is preparing us for her to give them up permanently. The Season 5 episode titles also hint at this. One is called The Right Side Up, suggesting a return to normalcy that might only be possible if Eleven gives up what makes her special. The theory suggests that Eleven will have to permanently sacrifice her powers to close the Upside Down forever. Maybe she'll use the last of her psychic energy to seal the dimensions, or perhaps she'll transfer her abilities to someone else who needs them more, like Will. This would give her the normal life she's always wanted while still making her the hero. It also fits with the show's theme about growing up and leaving childhood behind. Eleven's powers represent her traumatic past, and losing them would symbolize her finally moving forward. Some fans even think she'll lose her memories of the lab and her powers, getting a completely fresh start. This would be bittersweet. She'd finally be free of her trauma, but she might not remember the friends who helped her along the way. This sacrifice would be the perfect ending for her character arc. She started as a weapon, became a hero, and finally gets to be just a normal girl. But if 11 gives up her powers, who will fight Vecna? That's where our next theory comes in. Section 3. The entire series is a time loop. Everything we've watched in Stranger Things has happened before, multiple times, and the characters are trapped in a repeating cycle that they're just now becoming aware of. This sounds crazy at first, but there are way too many coincidences and repeated patterns throughout the series. The numbers keep showing up. 11, the lab experiments, the gate openings, Dustin's compass spinning in Season 1 could represent time itself being disrupted. Hopper's "mornings are for coffee and contemplation" line gets repeated. Will's disappearance happens at the exact same spot where other weird things occur. Even the music choices sometimes repeat or echo previous seasons. The biggest piece of evidence is Vecna's obsession with time and clocks in Season 4. Why is he so fixated on timepieces? It's not just to be creepy, it could be because he's aware of the loop. Then there's the fact that the Upside Down is frozen in time on November 6, 1983, the day Will disappeared. Why that specific day? What if it's because that's when the loop starts over? There's also the weird coincidence that the same group of kids keeps getting involved in supernatural events. What are the odds that the same small town would face multiple invasions from the same dimension, and the same people would be at the center each time? Plus, characters sometimes seem to know things they shouldn't, like how 11 instinctively knew how to use her powers against the Demogorgon in Season 1, despite never having done it before, or how the kids somehow knew exactly what to do in many situations, as if they'd done it before. This theory suggests that someone, maybe 11, maybe Vecna, maybe even Will, has been unconsciously resetting time whenever things go too wrong. Every time Hawkins faces complete destruction, reality resets back to November 1983. The characters retain some subconscious memories, which is why they get better at fighting the Upside Down threats each time, but they don't realize they're repeating events. Season 5 would be about them finally becoming aware of the loop and figuring out how to break it permanently. It would explain why certain characters seem to know things they shouldn't, why some people adapt so quickly to supernatural events, and why the town keeps facing the same basic threat over and over. The only way to break the cycle would be to make completely different choices than they've made in previous loops. Maybe that's why Will is so important. He might be the only one who can make a different choice and break the pattern. But what if the loop theory is connected to an even bigger revelation about who's really controlling everything? Section 4. Dr. Brenner is still alive and behind everything. Papa didn't die in Season 4, and he's been orchestrating events from behind the scenes, including Vecna's actions, as part of a larger experiment. We never actually saw Brenner die on screen, just him getting shot and 11 leaving him. In a show where fake deaths happen constantly, Hopper anyone? That's suspicious. Plus, Brenner always seemed to know more than he let on about the Upside Down and the other dimension. He had contingency plans for everything and multiple facilities. His obsession with 11 felt personal, not just scientific. There's also the fact that Vecna's methods are very similar to the lab's psychological manipulation technique. The way he targets people with trauma and guilt is exactly what Brenner did to the test subject. Remember how Brenner suddenly reappeared in Season 4 after we thought he was dead since Season 1? The show has already established that he can fake his death and hide for years. What's stopping him from doing it again? Also, think about how conveniently the lab's records were destroyed in the Season 4 massacre. That's exactly what someone would do if they wanted to cover their tracks and start fresh somewhere else. There's also the weird coincidence that the government seemed to know exactly when to show up at certain points throughout the series, like they were being tipped off by someone on the inside who knew what was happening. Plus, Brenner's final words to 11 were cryptic. "You're not ready." Not ready for what? It sounded like he knew something big was coming that she wasn't prepared for. The theory goes that Brenner survived and has been pulling strings from the shadows. Maybe he made a deal with Vecna, or maybe he's been controlling Vecna somehow. Brenner's ultimate goal was always to create the perfect psychic weapon, and what better way than to put 11 through increasingly difficult challenges? Every threat she's faced has made her stronger. Some fans think Brenner has been using the Upside Down as a massive training ground, with Hawkins as his laboratory. The kids aren't heroes saving the town, they're test subjects in Brenner's final experiment. Season 5 would reveal that everything, from Will's disappearance to Vecna's attacks, was orchestrated to push 11 to her full potential. The real final boss isn't Vecna, it's Papa, and he's been playing the long game all along. This connects to our next theory about the true nature of the Upside Down itself. Section 5. The Upside Down is actually the future. The Upside Down isn't an alternate dimension. It's Hawkins in the future, after an apocalyptic event, and the monsters are evolved humans trying to prevent their own timeline. The Upside Down is stuck on November 6, 1983, the day Will disappeared and the gate first opened. But what if it's not stuck in the past, but showing the future? The decay and darkness could represent environmental destruction. The Mind Flayer's hive mind behavior resembles how humans might evolve to survive in a post-apocalyptic world. Vecna's ability to show people their trauma could be an evolved form of human empathy gone wrong. Even the Demogorgons hunt in ways that suggest intelligence, not just animal instinct. Plus, the vines and organic matter covering everything looks like nature reclaiming civilization after humans are gone. Think about how the Upside Down is a perfect mirror of Hawkins, down to the buildings and streets. It's not just a random dimension, it's specifically Hawkins, just wrong. That suggests it's the same place, just at a different point in time. There's also the way the Upside Down reacts to events in the real world. When lights flicker in Hawkins, they light up in the Upside Down. When Joyce puts up Christmas lights, Will can communicate through them from the Upside Down. That connection suggests they're the same physical space. Plus, Vecna's backstory reveals he was human once. What if the other creatures were too? What if the Demogorgons are what humans become in this dark future? And remember how Nancy recognized the Upside Down version of her house, but it was missing recent additions. That suggests the Upside Down is stuck at a specific point in time, either the past or the future. This theory suggests that the Upside Down creatures aren't trying to invade our world. They're trying to prevent their timeline from happening. Vecna isn't evil. He's desperate. He's trying to change the past to save the future. The Mind Flayer wants to create a hive mind because that's how humanity survived in its timeline, and it's trying to prepare our timeline for what's coming. The gates aren't invasions, they're warnings. Season 5 would reveal that the real threat isn't the Upside Down, it's whatever event caused the Upside Down timeline to happen in the first place. Maybe it's nuclear war, environmental collapse, or even the misuse of psychic powers. The kids would have to choose between stopping the Upside Down creatures and preventing the apocalypse that created them. It would be a moral dilemma: fight the monsters to save today, or let them help to save tomorrow. But there's one final theory that ties everything together in the most shocking way possible. Section 6. Dustin is the real villain. Dustin has been manipulating events from the beginning, using his intelligence and likability to position himself as the secret mastermind behind Hawkins' supernatural problems. Dustin is always the one who figures things out first, almost like he already knows what's happening. He found Dart and hid it, leading to the Demodog problem. He built the radio tower that attracted the Mind Flayer's attention. He's the one who insisted on keeping secrets from adults who could have helped. His girlfriend Susie conveniently knows nuclear launch codes when they need them. He always has the right equipment at the right time. Plus, he's the only main character who's never been seriously hurt or possessed by Upside Down forces, which seems statistically impossible. Look at how Dustin is always just a little too knowledgeable about everything. In Season 1, he immediately understands the concept of the Upside Down and comes up with the name. In Season 2, he's the one who figures out how to care for Dart. In Season 3, he intercepts the Russian code. In Season 4, he knows exactly how to track Vecna's activity. There's also the weird coincidence that he's always separated from the main group at crucial moments. In Season 3, he's up on the hill with the radio while everyone else is at the mall. In Season 4, he's with Eddie while the others are elsewhere. It's like he's deliberately positioning himself away from danger. Plus, there's the fact that his character knows an absurd amount about obscure topics that just happen to be relevant to whatever monster they're facing. It's almost like he's studied these things in advance. And have you noticed how he's the only one who never questions the supernatural elements? Everyone else is skeptical at first, but Dustin immediately accepts and understands everything. It's like he's already familiar with it all. What if Dustin isn't just smart? What if he's been playing everyone from the start? This theory suggests Dustin has his own agenda, possibly connected to the government or even the Upside Down itself. Maybe he's been feeding information to someone, or maybe he's conducting his own experiments using his friends as test subjects. His comic relief personality would be the perfect cover for a mastermind villain. Think about it. Who better to manipulate a group than the lovable nerd they all trust? Season 5 could reveal that Dustin has been documenting everything for a larger purpose, and his betrayal would be the ultimate shock because nobody would see it coming. It would recontextualize every single scene he's been in and explain why he always seems to know just a little too much about everything. Maybe he's working with Brenner, or maybe he's from the future and trying to ensure certain events happen. This twist would be devastating but also make perfect sense. The most dangerous villain is the one you never suspect, and nobody would suspect Dustin. If you enjoyed this video and are looking forward to Season 5, click the subscribe button.